Princeton Reverb reissue, the 65, and the owner says it was working until he heard a big pop, and then it wasn't working. And he asked me to check the tubes and call with the diagnosis. I think with this video we can do even better than a call. When I removed the top rear panel, I found that the speaker was disconnected. Now, I didn't disconnect the speaker. I don't know whether the owner did that as part of troubleshooting or what. Just in case the speaker blew, I'll take a measurement across that. 7.6 ohms. That speaker is most likely good. It could still have other problems, but let's see. First thing I see, other than that, is this 6v6 is very discolored, and it's all in one spot, as if that plate were having woes, which could explain the symptom, the pop. Sometimes when that happens, you'll see bits of stuff flaked to the inside of the glass inside. Kind of looks like cigarette ash. That's actually particles that used to be part of the plate that have just exploded out. But there's definitely a dark spot on that plate, so I don't think these tubes are probably any good. I'm going to take them both out for now. And we're going to check all the preamp tubes. The preamp tubes in a Princeton are unlikely to cause any such problems. Sometimes a tube will lose vacuum real fast, and that can cause such a problem. This one doesn't want to come out. And when that happens, the ends turn white. None of these have that, so it's unlikely to be a preamp issue. Let's check the fuse. You can't see it because of the shadow there, but it says use a 2 amp fuse. The old Princetons used a 1 amp fuse, and the circuit hasn't changed that much over the years, but the wall voltages have. So 2 amps makes a lot of sense in a Princeton. That fuse looks good and is the proper 2 amp. So back in the cab it goes. Aside from the heat damage visible on that 6v6, none of the usual suspects in a Princeton reissue seem to be rearing their uglies. The IC brand filter caps don't have any visible leaks. There are no burned dropping resistors. There's no burned on the board. Even the heater quick connects are still the original color. However, there's some pretty serious discoloration of these quick connects here on the power switch. That's not what you want to see. It's all carbonized. Let's see what the black one looks like too. I bet it's the same. The thing is, under normal use, this would never happen. There would have to be a short condition. Well, this just gets frustrating-er and frustrating-er. So these burned wires, they were going from the receptacle to the power switch, and from the power switch to the fuse, the board, the power transformer. That's not how it should be wired. It should have been from the receptacle to the fuse, then the fuse to the switch. Then if anytime you had enough current to generate that kind of heat, this fuse would have blown, this damage would not have occurred. I have disconnected things and tested, and these are the actual primary wire connections on the power transformer. And they measure open. This transformer has failed open. Now it probably does have a thermal fuse inside there, but it is a really cheap transformer, and I charge enough an hour that it makes more sense to get the higher quality Hammond replacement for $80 and swap that out, and for me to put it in there and have a better transformer from this point forward, less prone to failure. I'm going to put it on a Carling switch. I'm going to wire this like the 60s. So the neutral wire from the new power transformer will go straight to the receptacle. The hot wire from the receptacle will go to the inmost connector of the fuse holder. The fuse will then go to a new Carling switch where the other primary connection for the power transformer will be. It will be the vintage spec power transformer. No big deal. I'll have to change out the connections to the rectifier. That's easily done. Change out the connections to the heaters. Also easily done. No big deal. At the end of that process, the amp will have a much higher quality power transformer. I was also able to find from the same vendor a pair of 6v6s that are in stock, and they're only about $90 for the pair, so they've only gone up twice as much as they would have been a month and a half, 2 months ago. So an $80 pair of 6v6s, an $80 power transformer, and about a $4 power switch are all this amp needs to go back into service and sound good again. And with the new wiring, having the fuse before all this stuff, should anything happen in the amp next time, this fuse will blow instead of things just burning, because that's just so lovely. Toasty. 68 custom Deluxe Reverb reissue. Not really a reissue. They changed the circuit a lot. But this one says, won't power up. Let's see what's going on. Like the Princeton reissue, it's supposed to have a 2-amp fuse. And the fuse that's in there is blown. Let's see what value it is. It is a blown 2-amp fuse. So I could put a fuse in here and cross my fingers that everything's cool now. But I need to check and see if there's a reason for that fuse to blow. I don't want to put a fuse in and have it last 3 days and then have the owner have to bring it back. So let's see what's going on. Just like the Princeton reissue, these Deluxes have this power switch before the fuse, which is wrong. It's hard to do anything about it because they use a smaller size connector that goes to this side of the fuse that goes to the main board. Unless there's an issue here, I'm not going to correct it. I'll talk to the owner, let him see the whole video and show what happens on the Princeton when that's the case. Maybe he'll want me to hand wire it, hand solder it instead of use these quick connects so I can wire it properly. But also, when they built this, they reversed the black and white, the hot and neutral, so they're fusing the neutral in this. That's not good. Yeah, these things do matter, by the way. And you'd think a major company like Fender would get the basics like that right. Aside from that switch wiring, nothing else in the amp is visibly wrong. Could still be a bad 6v6, even though they're visibly okay. But first, let's check what's happening with the filter caps on the other side underneath the doghouse cover. As with all Fender reissues, I like to make sure that things are tight. They often are not. That's the bias pot, not tight. Check the choke and the output transformer. Oops, sorry. None of them have been fully tight, but now they are. I'll check I'll tighten up the power transformer from the other side. Let me do the reverb transformer real quick. All right, let's get this doghouse cover off and see what's underneath. Let's see what's underneath here. No visible leaks in these, so that's good. That's good. It's possible that that fuse just blew. It's also possible that the rectifier or output tubes are bad, even though they look okay. So I'm going to put a fuse in it and power it up on my current limiter and see what happens. All right, I haven't even connected the speaker yet. The amp's in standby. Let's power it on. Up, bright glow from the current limiter. Took it a few seconds though. Rectifier tube is the first suspect. It is a Fender branded, not sure what the actual brand is. I think I've got a Sovtech handy. Let's pop that in place. Let's power it on with that Sovtech. I'm not getting any glow from the lamp yet. So far, so good. Take it out of standby. All right, we have sound. All right, it's got the hiss with all the volumes off that all the 68 customs have, but not as bad as some. Going into the normal channel, let me turn the treble and bass to a good starting point. I noticed before they were all kind of crazy places. All right. Sorry, my trim arm was on the wrong side of the plug. That channel sounds okay. the brief testing, at least, this amp sounds very healthy. I suspect it just had a bad rectifier tube, so I will get him a new one, and I will talk to the owner about whether he'd like me to redo the standby and fuse sequence to be better, because it can cause failures, as he saw in that Princeton. But it's working for now, and so I think he dodged any major bullets on this. Order a tube once the new rectifier arrives. Since the B plus can change slightly, I'll rebias the amp, or at least triple check the bias before it goes out, but this shouldn't need much more than that.